Three. We're live, Mr. Wade.
Good night, good night, or good evening to our wherever you are. Good night or good evening to our viewers, both at home and abroad. Again, welcome to our Belizean Affairs show number 326. 326 on a blessed Wednesday,
Uh,
30th July 2025. Again, it's always a pleasure to sit in your company, Mr. Leonard Brackett.
the pleasure is mine too, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
So,
we sure making making these shows go very fast. Look where we're at.
uh,
And Leonard, we should be joined by our next senior panelist, Mr. Gregory Brackett.
yes, sir.
He always, in the back there queuing up. So there's a lot going on in around the world and in Belize. A lot going on. Signs of time, wars, rumors of war, destructions, famine. It's a lot going on in this wicked world that we are living in.
Lot
Very
of
wicked.
earthquake too, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
And tsunamis.
Flooding and tsunamis and man. But I just hope that the world takes heed. Just hope that they take heed. These are trying times. As always, Leonard, we start our program with a prayer and then followed by reading. I ask you to
So,
brace us with a prayer here tonight, and then I will do a reading.
okay, sir. I'll just go ahead and close my eyes for a minute, Mr. Chairman, so I could divine loving Father. We thank thee for this privilege to come before thy presence once more. We thank thee for blessing our family members, friends, and loved ones wherever they are, and for blessing our country of Belize, its people and leadership, as well as this country of the United States, its people and leadership. We pray that thou mayest bless also the rest of humanity in a special way for those people who are in earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricane, flooding, those people who are in war zones, loving Father, please be merciful unto them as well. For those who need health, courage, strength, perseverance, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, food and clothes and shelter, please provide for us as well, loving Father. And that we pray that thou mayest bless this program tonight, that whatever we say and do may it derive some public positive benefits for Belizeans at home and abroad and others. For we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Leonard.
You're welcome, Mr. Chairman.
I'll do a reading tonight from Malachi, chapter 2, 1 to 10. And it reads, "And now, O priest, this command is for you. If you will not listen, if you will not take it to heart, to give honor to my name, says the Lord of hosts, then I will send the curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Indeed, I have already cursed them, because you do not lay it to heart. Behold, I will rebuke your offsprings, and spread dung on your face. The dung is your offerings, and you shall be taken away with it. So shall you not know, so shall you know that I have sent this command to you,
Amen.
that my covenant with Levi may stand, says the Lord host of hosts. My covenant with him was one of life and peace, and I gave them to him. It was a covenant of fear, and he feared me. He stood in awe of my name. True instructions was in his mouth, and no wrong was found on his lips. He walked with me in peace and uprightness, and he turned many from iniquity.
Amen.
For the lips of a priest should guard knowledge, and people should seek instruction from his mouth, for he is the messenger of the Lord
Lord.
of hosts.
Amen.
But you have turned aside from the way. You have caused many to stumble by your instructions. You have corrupted the covenant of Levi, says the Lord of hosts. And so I make you despise and abase before all the people, inasmuch as you do not keep my ways, but shows partiality in your instruction. Have we not all, have we not all one Father? Has not one God created us? Why then are we faithless to one another, profaning the covenant of our Father? That's my reading from Malachi chapter 2, 1 to 10. Uh,
So,
Leonard, there's
so
a lot going on.
yes, sir.
Um, I wanted to,
A lot of accidents, Mr. Chairman.
yes, continue on the 13th Amendment as to how we see it. And since it's coming to a close, but before we go there, I'll ask you if you want to do a little public announcement for the nation.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Um, I, I personally am very distraught. I was going to say amazed, but I don't think amazed would fit the level of disappointment and stress that I'm experiencing because of all these different accidents. I mean, it's like it's like the new pastime now back in Belize. Accidents don't ask permission to happen, and they will happen more often so long as you keep providing for them. And it seemed to me like some of these drivers are outrightly reckless, in the way they carry themselves. Now, I'm not going to say that some of them may not have mechanical problems because, of course, they're driving a machine, right? And machine that's made up of, you know, dozens and in some instances hundreds of parts, any one of which can fail at any given time, that would cause an accident. Which all the more of a reason then that people should be a bit more careful, more cautious, and more attentive. Because while they may not lose their lives, they may end up losing their limbs or cause other people to lose their lives or lose their limbs. What part of that we as human beings can relate to, understand, or be more sensitized to, or more concerned about? You know, it is only after they get into the accident then they realize, okay, it could have happened to me just as well. You don't have to wait for the accident. After the accident, and people are left mangled up, it's not only just those people who are left broken up that suffer. There are other family members who depend on them as breadwinners, for example, you know, and most of these accidents, when people get hurt, it's major accidents. It's very few people get off unscathed. You know, I don't know. And it's not only just old vehicles. So some people will say, well, some of the vehicles don't need to be on the road because they're old or whatever. Some of these vehicles are new brand vehicles that have been crashed, that are running off the road or being hit by other vehicles or running into other vehicles. I saw just the other day where a bus was trying to overtake another bus, and the traffic was coming towards the bus that was trying to do the overtaking. And instead of the gentleman back off a little bit to make the traffic pass by, he continued forward. The other bus that he was trying to overtake apparently had to, like run almost off the road just in order to let him pass, so he didn't end up hitting the other people that was coming on the other side of the road. That's craziness, man. I mean, it doesn't make no sense. But anyhow, Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
it really stresses me out because I mean, when I see things like those, it bothers me for a long time. I'll just like to yield up, sir.
Thank you, Leonard. So
You're
true.
welcome, Mr. Chairman.
We see numerous accidents, on a daily basis. Plays out. Like you rightfully says, lives being lost, fatalities. You know, families loses their loved ones. Whether it's these motorcycles, a lot of that is happening. Whether it's the buses, and a lot of that is happening, and like it's a never ending saga, right? Um, See, something is wrong um, for these accidents to be happening, whether it's man-made accident, whether it's contributed by the vehicles they are driving, whether it's contributed by the conditions of the road, whether it's contributed by merely pure ignorance, right? And I don't give a damn attitude on the road, like a lot of these government officials. They drive these highways, Leonard, like they don't give a damn. One, yes, I agree with them. It's not their vehicle. They didn't purchase it, and they get in an accident. They are the system. They could maneuver out of it, but they don't take into consideration the chaos that they create. Um, we see it plays out. I witness it on the highways. I've always complained about the terrible conditions of our highways,
Mm-hmm.
the nasty ways some of these bus drivers, they and most of them, Leonard, is these little young kids driving these buses, right? I think the first vehicle they jump in is a bus, taking 30, 40 people, right? And 50 people, and That is their first experience, and
But like they have no
you,
regards for these people then, because I
yes,
mean, how can they be behaving? I mean, if they're in a vehicle that is empty by themselves, that's bad enough. That's reckless enough. But then
my
you have to
thing is
deal with people's lives, you know.
my thing is these things are playing out on a daily basis, but my thing is that the system has a lot to do with it. How in the hell are you gonna give a 20-year-old a license to drive a bus? No experience, no. There should be a mandate.
Hmm.
There should be a way these licensing authority give license. I'm pretty sure there is a way, but you know, like we always hear and see publicly, money. Money moves everything and anything in Belize. Truth, bottom line. But is it fair for the public? Is it fair? In my humble opinion, it's not fair, right? So that is one of my 2 cents I'll put into that. Um, a contributor to a lot of these accidents, right? And again, another contributor, and I'll expound on it, is government officials, whether it's their drivers, minister drivers. We have seen it, they knock people down, kill them, and they get away with it. Don't even
Hmm.
spend a day in jail, right? And I could go on, right? But if don't believe me, do the research, right? So it's like a habitual practice, Nobody have been seriously penalized. They take people, ministers, take people's life, ex-minister, ex-UDP minister, and what these lives cost? Sometimes $3,000. They find get a family a measly $3,000, not even enough to buy a casket, right?
Hmm.
But this is what happens, right? And this is just one of the small things that happen. Um, Lots of other injustices in this country. And my people, don't forget, we are in the hurricane season, June to November. We see what's been playing out in our nation, in the nation of Belize lately. A lot of rain, right? Flooding. Take heed. Just started. Take heed. The worst is yet to come. So, my people, I say I have a little 2 cents to put in. See, my 2 cent is for the country, small little country of Belize, right? Not much populated, right? But we have too much ministers, too much, too much representative. We have to make government smaller. That's what we have to do. In my humble opinion, you see Belize City, I just touched that a little and I go on. I think that Belize City should only have two representatives, a north south representative and a south side representative. Little bit of people. But look how many representatives they have in Belize City, right? And they have been paid extraordinary. They have been, utilizing the public purse, control of the public purse for decades, right? So I say that if I had the power, we'll only have two representatives representing Belize City, a north side representative and a south side representative. Compared to other countries, Mr. Government, some other countries have millions of people, right? and check the amount of representative representing these millions of people. Some constituency in Belize City have under 3,000 people.
Close to 2,000.
Isn't that sick? Isn't that, bastardizing the public purse? That's my humble opinion on that, right? We need to
Mr.
make
Chairman,
government smaller.
Mr. Chairman, which two people or which two people you think out of the how much are them?
About
10 of
10 of
them?
them.
Out of the 10, which two are you think could have survived? You don't even care about that part, no?
Right?
Now I'm just trying to be funny.
No, I mean, it's there, right? It's right there publicly, right? But who
I,
speaks
I,
about these things?
I'd like to see which one of the two of them would so out of the 10 of them which two are
Who's
survived.
there you go. There you go, right? So I would like to see government smaller, right? Too much spending in government, too much spending that is not needed. But the money is there, so they spend it on all the wrong things. All the wrong things. They spend the taxpayers' dollars and the grants and the free money that Belize gets and everything. They spend it on all the wrong things, right? Too much corruption. That's something we talk about on this program for many years now. We've been talking about corruption, right? Too much perks. Too much perks for ministers, representatives, area rep, heads of department, CEOs. Too much perks. In the US, the government does not provide transportation for you to get to work, does not give you a $600 phone perks, right? No. You're hired, you need to find your way to work. Just like every other hiree, employee, right? So we need to make our constituency, the small ones, we need to make them bigger. That's my 2 cents. The small little one under 2,000, I'm under 3,000, we need to make them bigger. But they'll have a lot of babies doing that, right? So we need to limit the powers these ministers have. And of all the laws that they pass, they have a line in there. The minister discretion. The minister discretion. Check that, right? The fine prints, right? We need to limit the powers that these elected people have. Too much, right? We need equal or near as equal representation as per our constitution. We need to reduce the salaries that these ministers are getting and CEOs. In what the hell they're doing to get such a luxurious salary? The clerk, no, they get not as, not even quarter what these CEOs getting. Let me beat on these CEOs. And what these CEOs are doing, in my humble view, they does nothing. They only sit there on that name, CEO. And who does the work? And in some instance, they will hire another person to advise and to help that CEO.
Special
What kind of
counsel.
nonsense is that? Right? What kind of nonsense? That's for me. That's pure nonsense. The person that came up with that idea should be fired. Right? So you know that's my thing on these high profile people. I think they are getting too much money. They are more than well paid, right? So we need to limit that. But is the UDP going to do that? Is the PUP going to? Is the two-party system going to do that? Hell no, they are not going to do that, right?
To the victors go the spoils themselves, Mr. Chairman.
So if I had the power, right? If I had the power, elected leaders, heads of departments, CEOs will have to use their own transportation to get to work, just like every other employees, right? That's if I had the power, right? But you see the luxurious vehicles that the taxpayers has to buy for these people, right? For them to get to work and to go do what? That's my point, right? So, and they don't even pay for their utilities. Where the poor employee out there, the poor public servant, his damn water has been getting cut off. His light bill has been getting cut off, right? When these people, living in luxury, right? Come on, that need to stop, right? And lately, you see the injecting in the nation that we will have a consultation for the 13th amendment in a consultation. The same way they came with when they try to when they are trying to rip off the constitution, right? Consultation up to yang yang. They're gonna visit every village, every town, everybody, and to educate them on the constitution, their rights. You see how that played out, right? Now, Bob, they pop up this 13th amendment now, not even a month ago, a couple months ago, and they already have a deadline, by March, by August 30th, this consultation has to finish, right? Who does that? What is these people agenda? Who are they fooling, right? And consultation means like you got to consult the people. Are you going to consult the entire country in 1 month, 2 months, when you did not do that for the consultation, so-called consultation for the Constitution amendment, right? So you guys, man, and a consultation in Belmopan was held on the 13th Amendment. I think that only a couple of them showed up. The main takers, the gods of the PUP did not show up, right? And I'm not gonna call their names. Maybe they had a reason why they did not show up, right? But I think they should have showed up to answer questions. But that consultation in Belmopan today was poorly attended, and I think might be the last one. And then they're gonna go, and guys, and they're gonna say that we consulted the people. Consultation was held. Well, anyway, I want to welcome my good panelist, senior panelist, Mr. Gregory Brackett. Welcome, my brother. It's a
Thank you,
pleasure to
Mr.
sit in your
Chairman.
company.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And it's always a pleasure to sit with you guys virtually
Same here.
discussing Belizean's affairs. I want to say good night to you, the people at home and abroad.
Good night, sir.
Thanking you for tuning in to this, or 326 episode of Belizean Affairs. Again tonight, Mr. Chairman, I was sitting in the back listening to your opening remarks and how you were discussing the salaries, the elaborated salaries that these people get, how you have CEOs giving themselves a raise, how the taxpayers' money are being used and spent in the rental of buildings when they could have simply did what they did. Government tried with all the Queen's land, get some land and build their own buildings, which they have enough land to do that. But I want to say this to say whenever these things happen, if you check for the record who is at the end of the receiving, it won't take that long to know the complication of what is happening in the country. Mr. Chairman, I want to go back to you for a second so that you can finish what you were
Thank,
saying.
thank you, thank you, thank you, Greg. Slowly, my people, both at home and abroad, you're seeing that new identity that they talk about. Maybe 4 years ago, they started this new identity conversation. Slowly, you see that triggering in, you know, injecting slowly in the country of Belize. New identity coming to you very, very soon in totality. And you see yet another, to me, injustice taken on the certain sector of the cane farmers, right? A ruling that, wow, for those of us who watch these things, left with your mouth open. So the cane farmers that had stood up for their rights not too long ago will have to pay BSI $500,000 pretty much for standing up, in my personal view, for standing up for their rights, right? Um, that's the ruling from the High Court, right? Um, and I'll finish up with this because we're going to discuss that. I asked Mr. Johnny Briceño, PUP leader and the Prime Minister of Belize, when are you going to pass UNCAC? And when are you going to at least start, show the nation good faith that you are going to do redistricting? That's from me to our medium to you, Mr. Johnny Briceño, Prime Minister of Belize, leader of the People's United Party. That's what I would like, and what I have a right to ask you. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a Belizean. I'm a voter. So I have the right to ask you that question through our medium. And before I pass over back to you, Greg, I want to say uh, welcome to our 226th edition of our Belizean Affairs show, Mr. Gregory Merson, another one of our panelists that when he has the time and can make it, he braces us. So I want to welcome you tonight to our program once more. Good night, sir.
Good
All right,
night. Good
Mr.
night. Good
Harrison.
night.
Good night,
Good
sir.
night. It's always a pleasure joining you guys and joining the conversation that's out there, and to be part of the discussion as it affects our beloved little Joel.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you and good
And
night to you, Mr. Morrison.
Good evening. Good evening.
Mr.
I'll shift
Chairman,
to Greg for 5 minutes. Go ahead,
Greg,
Greg.
Oh, okay. Well, I got
Oh
to
no, no,
talk to
no.
you.
Okay.
Brackett.
I
okay,
mean,
Mr.
Brackett.
Yeah,
Chairman,
Brackett. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that, Mr.
Mr.
Morrison.
Chairman, you were
Yeah.
speaking about two things. Importantly tonight, Mr. Chairman, here in Belizean affairs, we always show and tell. You brought up the 13th Amendment, and I want to, tonight, gentlemen, I want to really show and tell what is really happening about the 13th Amendment. Mr. Chairman, gentlemen, people at home and abroad, kindly listen carefully to how these people tell on themselves. I
And
will
we tell them.
repeat it. Kindly listen to how these people tell on themselves. Let's go to the first video.
Of emergency as a life-saving tool, because essentially that is what it has become. When crime and violence among feuding gangs becomes so intense that there is constant retaliation among these groups, and that oftentimes leads to the loss of innocent lives in Belize, not just gang members, because there is this school of thought that says let gang members kill themselves out.
But you have collateral damage.
There is collateral damage, and just in this year alone, think of Mr. Avelar, who died right here on Coney Drive outside your news station.
Yep.
Think of the young man Orozco on Ebony Street, who was just taking his child to school.
Yep.
Innocent lives, Think of Miss Jones and her handicapped son. Those are 4 lives lost in just this year, as like you described, collateral damage. So the question is, what do you do when you have this kind of escalation in violence that leads to, yes, the loss of gang member lives, but also the loss of law-abiding citizens' lives? That is why we're saying we need to have a legislation that can counter this, because, as you and I know, Isani and Sabrina, in the streets, there is a code. If I kill Isani's family will not say it's me, even if they witness it. They will take out the retaliation themselves. There is a street and a gang code that we have to recognize.
It's understood at this point.
It is understood.
It's played.
You cannot get a statement from anybody family who was involved in a murder resulting from gang violence. And so we recognize that problem. If you recall our former commissioner of police, and he wasn't lying when he said this, Chester Williams, he said, we know every single gun we bust, who bust it. He said that.
Yeah.
So then the question is, well, why police can't stop it? That's always the question.
The evidence.
Yes, because someone has to go in and give a statement.
Yep.
In order for us to charge someone, someone has to give a statement. Or, as we have been moving in this direction, you have to have evidence like a CCTV camera, or you have to have forensic evidence. We recognize those are all complementing evidential material that we have been utilizing. But what happens when you don't have a camera? What happens when the gang say, well, we're going to commit the murder over there because no camera not there? So we need a legislation that allows space for the police that can hit the pause button. And what happens during a state of emergency? 1, many guns and ammunition are taken off the streets. In just the last few SOEs, 130 guns, 2,000 rounds of ammunition taken off the streets of Belize. But nobody's talking about that. But imagine, that's 130 lives
Was that the result
saved.
was that the result of a swap, or was it the result of going into these neighborhoods and doing a sweep to
It is
collect these
mostly
records?
operations, Isani. It is operations within these areas.
Well, let's take a step back really quickly because one, we have enough time to.
No, Mr. Chairman, and people at home and abroad, there is three things I want to say to show how these people are telling on themselves. The first one, as mentioned by Mr. Musa, the parents or no individual wants to give a statement. By passing the 13th Amendment, will that make them give a statement? No, it won't. So then, you also say that during this state of emergency, you have recovered so much guns and ammunition. Why can't you recover them now when there is no state of emergency? That is telling me that you are using the state of emergency as a tool to do transaction trade with these people. From since you want to put this into law, how much guns and drugs have you found? I go back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg. I will let Mr. Gregory Morrison expand on that clip you played.
Good evening. Good
Good evening,
evening
sir.
again. I don't have a problem with the state of emergency as a measure to sort of quell or arrest some of the issues of gun violence. Um, I I don't go for it as an 13th Amendment addition to our Constitution. I believe that if they want a state of emergency, they should apply for it through the normal procedure that where the House calls for it, and they go to the Governor General and they sign the writ to activate it. That is the process of how we do it. I don't want us to be governed by a constant state of emergency. If you remember, even unrelated, but even when Belize got its independence, it was under a state of emergency. So it seems like we just love sticking our head into this and thinking it's a solution for proper governance. And so I believe that the state of emergency should be a tool that law enforcement have and the legislative power have to enact at times when there truly is such issue. The minister of police said that they were able to recover guns and they need this legislation, but he's trying to trick us because a constitutional amendment is not a legislation. It is the law of the land. It is not a typical type of legislation that is passed by and administered by the judiciary. It is what governs us as a people, as a nation, as citizens. And so we should be very worried, and I don't know why he's framing it as legislation when we understand legislation to be something totally different than a constitutional amendment.
Mr. Morrison, well said, and I will express why. In a state of emergency, sir, it is public national disaster that is taking place ASAP as we speak or ongoing like COVID-19. We cannot take public disaster and try and use it for state affairs. Gang violence falls under state affairs. That's internal policy that must be dealt with legislature and the police department.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed.
Thank you.
So
Thank,
when they're saying that, and you know they telling themselves, because he's saying he wants this law, and when he used the word legislate, legislating law is substantive law made by man. It's not constitutional law, but yet he's speaking about amending the constitution.
Yes.
So
Yes.
which one is it?
Yeah.
So as you said, we have to be careful because this 13th Amendment falls short of being a state of emergency because it is not an ongoing thing as we speak. Are we having an emergency right now as we speak? Or since they're trying to introduce this? Or since the verdict from the Supreme Court? Are we having gun killings every day that would turn out to be a state of emergency? No, sir. Are they finding guns as we speak? When last did they find guns or drugs? Even though they had made the gun and drug law under Section 22 and 25 of the Constitution. We are not finding these things. When last did they do that? That is why I'm saying something is totally wrong. Because why is it only when a state of emergency, Mr. Brackett, and I will leave this open to you, that they can find so many guns and drugs? Not possible. I
thank
yield.
you. Thank you, Greg. Leonard?
I just want to add one little thing
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead, Mr.
before
Greg.
Mr. Brackett jump in.
Go
You know,
ahead.
I'm seeing what seems to be a real disaster. I'm branching off a little bit. A real disaster. Single day I turn on my television and look at the news from Belize. There's a traffic accident, and I'm wondering when they'll have a state of emergency to sort of address some of those and those poor drivers or whatever it is that's causing all this tremendous mayhem and death. You know, it's just incredible. But please go on. I just wanted to add
Thank
that
you.
on the side, Mr. Brackett.
Good observation.
Uh,
Go ahead, Leonard.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman,
sir.
and thank you very much, Greg, for the observation. And thank you also, Mr. Morrison, for the clarity of thought and the ability to be able to dissect what these people are trying to put out there to bamboozle the general population, which is actually what their intent. And the reason why they intend to bamboozle the population is because they don't think that the population knows enough to realize that they are getting bamboozled and that they are being led down a path to serve not their interests but the interests of other people. For example, the current government that we have in power is hell-bent on changing in a massive way, if not necessarily of eviscerating the whole thing. Their intent is to massively change the existing constitution so that it doesn't serve the current purpose, that it will serve a different purpose or a new agenda that people will get to find out after the fact. It's all about bamboozling. And it's not because these guys don't know what they're doing to the public, it's because the public doesn't know. And that's where they have the upper hand. And that is how they are driving this process in terms of achieving their objective and letting the people feel like, well, it's something that they are bringing to the people for the people's best interest. When they know that in order to come with these kind of shenanigans to the people, they first have to give the people what is called a referendum, a consultation with the public, so that the public may have their chance to say yea or nay as regards to any of these substantive constitutional changes that they are trying to make that the very Constitution tells them they cannot make unless they have a referendum. They shall, not may or could, or if they want, or if they don't want, they shall have a referendum in regards to any of the fundamental rights derogation or issues. It's spelled out right there in the Constitution, in Section 3 all the way through Section 19, and inclusive Section 20 for judicial review, and Section 95 for Supreme Court full authority to deal with any of these matters and to pronounce them or to deem them, as the legislator would like to believe that they have a right to do. It is for the courts, the judiciary, to deem what is constitutional or not. Now, these guys that are making this 13th Amendment, the 13th Amendment is just a little sleight of hand that they're trying to get past underneath our nose with the objective of dealing with the PCC as a total package. As a matter of fact, I don't know why they haven't decided to take this 13th Amendment and slap it into the PCC Act as the current Prime Minister and current Attorney General has intimated earlier. When Jules asked them, were they playing fast and loose with the laws, with the Constitution? Were they subverting the Constitution? Both of them said no. And then they said but. And then they explained the reason for the but. Why is it then that they were actually subverting the Constitution, violating the Constitution, and making a mockery of our system? They say, no, we're not doing that, but yes, we are doing it. Why? Because of. And then they put in. And by the way, none of their rationale or reasoning met muster. Because as of today's date that we're talking, the PCC is still not the law of the land yet. Am I right, or am I over speaking? Please correct me if I am.
No, it's not.
So we only have one constitution at a time. So now, instead of them waiting until the PCC to finish its work, and then the Prime Minister decide, okay, well, you know what? They never give us anything about the 13th Amendment, so we are slapping the 13th Amendment in at that, and we are go ahead and pass it, alter the Constitution. You know, they could have done anything, but at the end of the day, it will always be ruled as inconsistent with the existing Constitution, and therefore declared or deemed to be null and void. And they know that. That's the end of the outcome. But in the meantime, they're going to go ahead, play the fool like they don't know better. People don't get hurt. And it's only until somebody that gets hurt has a chance to go and contest it in court that the judges will tell them exactly as the previous judges have told them. Your SOE are to be considered arbitrary and capricious, a violation of the fundamental rights of these individuals, and an unconstitutional act that is to be deemed null and void. For which now they realize that they have to pay these people and many other people who will sue them under the same categories and will also end up winning. So now that's why they are rushing with the 13th Amendment to try and put it in place, to stop people from being able to recover damages for the evil that they did to these people. And it's not because they did something evil unknowingly or unwittingly. On this particular platform, we've been telling them for decades, for years now, we've been telling them on this particular platform that those bogus SOE were wrong. We told them how they were wrong, how they were violative. We even pointed out in some instances how they could have gone ahead and corrected them. But the Constitution under Section 18 specifically tells them how to go about to justify a valid SOE. But that's not what they're after. They have the power of state right now in the police department to go and arrest any criminal, including themselves, for the crimes that they are committing. But they don't arrest themselves, and they don't want to go and arrest the criminals. They want to have the criminals, the main criminals I'm talking about now, who are really the leaders of the gang, okay? How they call it, the LIU or whatever, okay? They negotiate with these guys. They don't put them in jail. They don't lock them up like they do with the little foot soldiers. They negotiate with them. They collect one little gun or one little drugs from them or whatever to make the police put out there and say, okay, see what they do with work. You know, they do your work until they will collect the same man where they cut deals with. While they throw SOE, blanket SOE over the whole community and suppress and oppress other people that have nothing to do with the gang activities and or who don't deserve their name to be besmirched or end up with any police record. And then you turn around within the same 13th Amendment and exculpate, not only just pass criminal activity on the part of the police officers but you're exculpating them ahead of time. You're giving them a license to go and commit additional crimes. Come on. Are you
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you.
Don't craziness, man. These
Leonard.
guys, they're
Thank
not
you.
stupid.
So you could move on, Greg, but let me interject a little something here that of that clip you played. The guy, the Musa, the Karim Musa, the Minister for Police, says that the outgoing commissioner, right, and he was right, says that not only the outgoing commissioner said that, he said that too. Yes, that they know who these people are,
Then they negotiate with
who
them,
these
Mr. Chairman.
players are, right?
Then
So
the PSR,
my thing is that if you know who these people are, why are these people still out there committing crimes? That's my question to Mr. Musa, right? And another question to him, you know, all this baby that you guys are having, you know, isn't these laws already in the books? Why are you going this route? We already have laws to arrest, to punish, to seize, to do all the very same things that you have in this 13th Amendment. We already have laws for that. Why are you going this extra mile?
bait and switch.
So my 2 cents in that now is that, you see, correcting you know, and it's so sad, guys, that these guys here, they have an ultimatum with time. There's a certain time that they have to push this thing through, you know. Why? Why does it has to be a certain time? It has to be completed by a certain time. And why
Well,
is it that
Mr. Gregory
from
Brackett, Mr. Chairman,
2018,
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Gregory Brackett wrote an article answering that same question that you're pointing out there just now. A long article. It's a good reading.
why is it that you're going to say now this amendment will retroactive from 2018? Why? And I ask, why is it a problem for you guys to pay the claimant, the guy that sued the government for derogating his rights, right? And the court award him some money. Why is it now all of a sudden you don't want to pay this individual? And it ties in that there is lots of other individuals that is in line that will sue this PUP government. can't sue the UDP government for what they had done, but they will sue this PUP government for the wrong that this government and past government had done to them. What is so hard in, making these things, these people suit go through the normal process and these people get vindicated? Why is it that you want to shut these people down now with a law now that you cannot take them to court? Why is it?
Mr.
And again,
Chairman, Mr.
but you see what I'm.
Chairman, sorry,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, but I just want to draw to your attention, because I have answered it again, the use of discriminativeness by the government. That was what was done to the stevedores, even though a tribunal said they should get $5 million. Look what they did to them to make sure they don't get it. It's the same principles, nothing different, sir. I go back
And
to you
one
to
more
finish.
question there, Mr. Musa. Why is it that when you were in opposition, when your PUP was in opposition, you had all the right answers and you came up with all the right things to do
And say,
and say, why this 190-degree turn now, Mr. Musa? If you listen to yourself what you said when you are in opposition, and you listen to yourself what you are venoming out today, guy, very
Alzheimer's.
serious treachery.
Mr. Chairman,
My daughter would say Alzheimer's, the question. The few extra
Miss-
years I get to live, they make you get stupid.
the answer to your question, Mr. Chairman, will come from his mouth tonight. And I will prove it. I will show the people at home and abroad how ludicrous they are when we speak about this 13th Amendment. And I said it before. It's because we are dealing with a no confidence government that cannot take care of internal or external policies. They are failing at the state affair and worse, failing at external affairs. Again, gentlemen, and people at home and abroad, let's hear how they tell on themselves.
Some questions from you guys tuning in as well. I know there are quite a few interested in this topic online. But one of the first conversations that we have been having is the title in itself. We're calling it Special Areas versus the State of Emergency. We've had several persons on the couch with us from legal backgrounds look at this amendment. And one of the first points raised was sort of kind of like it's a different name, same story. What's your reaction to that?
It is being, like I said earlier at the introduction, we are fleshing out the state of emergency into the Constitution, but fleshing it out in a way that you're saying specifically. Because the state of emergency is only for public safety. It's very vague. Now you think of natural disasters and the looting that happens in natural disaster, and you might say, well, maybe that's what the framers of the Constitution wanted, for us to have legislation that addressed that. We are saying now in 2025, as was recognized in 1993, that we need to flesh it out more to say this is a crime-fighting, life-saving tool that we want to keep in our toolbox as a measure of last resort. Not something to be used every single day, but rather something to say, listen, this is getting out of control. The public is not participating, not giving statements, not getting evidence. We need to hit the pause button.
I'd like to parallel both of them and show our viewers how it differs.
Correct.
The state of emergency being in place, we know as a tool used to essentially ensure that the public feels a sense of safety when there are a rise in crime, at least for the case of the violence taking place, because states of emergency can be put in place for other reasons as well. How does that differ from the special areas and from the Constitution that we are now seeing being amended here? I want a clear picture of how the state of emergency is put in place and what those rules involve and how it differs for the special areas.
Sabrina, to go back to what Minister Musa was explaining, one of the operating rationale behind the need for the amendment at this particular time also arises from the fact that there has been two conflicting court decisions. So in one of the court decisions, one of the judges declared and ruled that yes, government can use a state of emergency provision to fight crime. Another judgment, the judge ruled no, you cannot do that. And in fact, the judge went further and to say, well, this should only be used when they actually arise public disorder to the point where it almost cripples the government's ability to have law and order be maintained. So the government is faced with this dilemma where you have two conflicting decisions, and as any government, any responsible government has to do, it has to ensure that there's certainty in the law, which is to your point. And the 1981 provision, as Minister Musa explained, they're rather general, deals with all matters of states of emergency and public emergencies. So he wanted to make it be very clear that where there are instances where crime has escalated to a particular crescendo point, that these are the provisions that are to be used. And we are not utilizing provisions which are new. They have been in the laws of Belize since 1994. And all that is being done.
Quickly, AJ.
Yes.
Couldn't this conflict between the opposing rulings perhaps be dealt with or clarified in the appellate jurisdiction, as opposed to the government saying, okay, you know what, make us skip any other processes and just seek to amend the law and have this be the end all be all in terms of the legal framework that deals with it?
So that's a very good question. So the matters are actually on appeal. So in relation to the judgment where the court said the states of emergency can be used as a crime fighting tool, those claimants are appealing. And in relation to the decision where the judge said that it's not, government is appealing that decision. However, as you are aware, it takes time before a matter moves through the appellate process. However, within the next 2 years, 2 to 3 years, whilst that move, the government or the state still would need to address citizen security. There is a real possibility that crime may reach a particular level where there would need to be the invocation, need to be the application.
This man is lying through his teeth. I hate to say that.
You think all of we are a bunch of idiots?
Thank you for
Mr. Chairman. I will tell you what this is about, but not now. Let everybody get to answer from this tape, and I will show the public why.
Mr. Morrison, on that tape, you listen to those two guys and listen to the question put to those two guys. What you take out of it?
Well, it is clear that the Attorney General is tripping over himself with the way he's presenting that argument. The state of emergency that they are trying to implement in the Constitution, and even the Minister for Police saying that it will not be used frequently, then why put it in? We have the tool to implement state of emergency. We don't need a constitutional amendment to do those very and necessary measures when it's needed. And he started saying, oh, the one we have deals with so many different things, with a disaster, and it deals with rioting, and it deals with all those different scenarios. But it doesn't matter that it covers all those items. We still can pull it out and apply it to the case of gang and violence in the street when it is necessary. So I, the argument is weakened by their own proposition that they advance. That the state of emergency does not need to be in the Constitution. He said it. He said it. He said we have all these laws already, right? So if we have all these laws, apply it when necessary under the current Constitution to bring about the level of normalcy we need within the society from the violence. You were going to say something, Mr.
Thank
Brackett?
you.
If I may,
Yeah.
as I said before, many a times we're not dealing with a government of good faith towards the people who entrust them with these powers. We're dealing with a bunch of jackals, scofflaws, by the way, to be more precise, who have no respect or regards for the very constitution under which they're supposed to be operating. The constitution already, as Mr. Morrison observed earlier, and even the minister himself, not the minister, the attorney general himself, acknowledging the constitution has state of emergency categories, ability to declare one, and how you go about getting one declared, and under what circumstances they are permitted. Your fundamental rights are not to be tampered with, and if allowed to under the state of emergency, should be for a short period of time, only until the emergency is overcome.
I want to finish up there,
We
Mr.
don't,
Morrison.
uh,
Then I
uh,
go. Yeah, yeah.
I,
Let Mr. Morrison finish up there, Leonard.
yeah, but I didn't finish get the thought out, sir. I didn't
Okay.
complete
Go
it.
ahead. Go ahead.
Um, what these people are doing is they're trying to use the existing constitution, modify it to get the outcome that they want. They're not willing to abide by the current constitution, and the existing constitution tells them how to go about. If they modify it to do what they're trying to do right now, it's just grabbing onto additional power to exculpate themselves from the crimes that have already been committed and the future potential crimes that may be committed. That is, but they're not explaining that to the public or telling that to the public. That is what they're really after.
What I was going to further
Finish
say
up
was
there,
that,
Mr. Morrison. Go
yeah,
ahead.
what I was going to say is they're just creating a hodgepodge of our Constitution when it was a pretty consistent and thorough document. And now we're just adding little bits of things that are not even meaningful to the idea of the Constitution and to the rights that the Constitution is supposed to afford the citizens. We're just taking away those individual rights and blasting it away and giving states some extraordinary power to just intrude on the lives of people. And what's happening in this is that it's going to be affecting a segment of our society, and particularly the black people of the community, who at this point seem to be the more troublesome
The whipping boy,
area
whipping
for
boy.
the gangs. And the reason they are is because those communities have over time been the most neglected within our society. The South Side community has been one of the most neglected and crowded area where people don't seem to have space to grow and develop and freedom to move around just because of how that area was first set up. So those are my concern on it.
Thank you. Thank you,
Mr.
Mr. Morrison.
Chairman,
Greg, go ahead.
I want to say this, Mr. Chairman, and I want you, the people at home and abroad, to listen carefully to what I have to say. We have a law against being a member of a gang. If you are found guilty of being a gang member, the penalty is 5 years. If you are found guilty of being a gang chief, the penalty is 20 years. How come that nobody has ever been sentenced to any of these penalties? It is because the government is failing in the judiciary with a less than 5% conviction overall. And now they want to come with this hocus pocus 13th Amendment that when they pass it, they will still fail in the judiciary, and they tell on themselves. Because, Mr. Chairman and people at home and abroad, please, let's hear it from the same Mr. Musa.
Need a warrant, they don't need a lot of things to just go into a neighborhood and pick people up and lock them up if they believe or suspect that they're involved in gangs and criminality. In Belize, we're saying, look, there's already an erosion of public confidence in the police department to be able to carry out its function in a civil manner. A lot of people are claiming abuse and so on and so forth. How do we know, or how do we take comfort in the fact that while they now may have this once it's passed, to come into a neighborhood and just pick up a group of young men, kick down your door if they suspect that you have guns and drugs or whatever the case may be, that they're not abusing this particular authority being given to them?
Yeah, so if I may just quickly, AG, I think we're dealing here with oranges and apples, but indeed some of these oranges fall into the apple basket in the sense that police carry out operations whether they're states of emergencies or not. Police will come into your home based on reasonable suspicion. There's no requirement for a warrant if they suspect you have guns and ammunition inside your premises. So that's something that's going to happen regardless, because the police might have intelligence that in fact you are housing guns and ammunition and drugs in your premises. So I think in that sense it's oranges, but it's probably more heightened when you have a state of emergency, because there's a wide sweeping operation that takes place inside a special area, as this provision here is proposing. And so what you then see play out, because people know that police are coming into my neighborhood, is that everything is documented. Police picking up individuals resisting arrest. That is very common because nobody wants to go to jail. That's the reality. But the issue then arises when you have the entire community coming out to defend an individual who the police are seeking. And so then you have that negative interaction between the police department and the community. But at the end of the day, I think that if we are to be objective about it, there has been a steady decrease in the amount of police abuse cases. We used to have the GSU that used to wear masks, that used to break down your door, that used to really abuse citizens' rights. We have disbanded that unit. We now have the GI3 that's more intelligence-led operations and a lot less abusive, if I'm to use that word very loosely, than what the GSU represented. And so, like I was saying, that's something that will always perhaps exist in situations where people are resisting arrest, but at the same time, you do see it more during an SOE.
You have a community like Mayflower, right? Ghost Town, where you have a heavy concentration of people living in one small neighborhood. So law enforcement descends on that community on a raid or what have you. And in many cases, in the aftermath of that operation, you have all of them, they will come out and they rail up and kick down their door before they look for somebody or what have you. Are those complaints ever really addressed? Because it happens from community to community. Same thing happens in PIV where you have a concentration of people in land barracks, but not everybody they harbor, or not everybody has a son who's a criminal or wanted, but they too feel the effect of these kinds of operations.
And why can't you just charge a person for being a member of a gang?
Yeah.
So very good question, and that is why that is the second important aspect of the 13th Amendment, is the creation of this specialized gang and gun court. So it's not just our recognition that in fact guns, the prevalence of guns and the high-powered guns that are on our streets that require us to address that in an urgent fashion, but there's also the issue of the gang legislation that Sabrina is referring to. Under our current laws, if you are found guilty of being the member of a gang, you are supposed to get a 10-year sentence for being the member of a gang. If you are a leader of a gang, you are supposed to, under our legislation, get a 20-year sentence. Imagine that. But what we find happening at our magistrates court level, and I can't knock our magistrates because perhaps some of them are in fear of their own lives, is the fact that when a defendant pleads guilty to being a member of a gang, we do not see a 10-year sentence. That's a reality. What we see is a $1,000 fine or a $2,000 fine. No kind of prison sentence whatsoever, when in fact this is one of the big problems in our society when it comes to crime and violence, is these gangs.
Here is the irony for me, right?
So, Mr. Chairman and people at home and abroad, if you as the government is having this problem in the judiciary, why would you want to take away my constitutional right for something you cannot do? You, the police, and the judiciary that is supposed to use the land book. Now, somebody needs to tell me, by passing the 13th Amendment, will that help to make more conviction that you cannot do right now? I'm silent on that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Greg. I'll give you 3 minutes there, Leonard. 3 minutes
Mr.
to
Chairman,
wrap up and
to
go
Greg's,
back to Mr.
Greg's question, I would say that the purpose of the 13th Amendment in that particular regards, or as addressing that particular point, is for the police, for the state, and the officers of the state to be exculpated from the crimes that they commit. That is the purpose of the 13th Amendment in that particular regards, as well as many others. It's a Trojan horse. You hear these gentlemen, the Attorney General and the Minister of Police. The host of the program is asking them specific questions, and they dance around the questions and don't give them the answer to the questions. They kill the time and they move on. But these same two gentlemen had spoken on those same issues before. One of them, the current Attorney General, when he was a practicing lawyer, claimed that he had won one of the most important cases for one of his clients whose rights were being derogated under the same circumstance that no, he wants to go ahead and derogate other people's rights. Was he so smart back then because he was a little younger? And he's so dumbass now because the little gray hair will dip on top of his head now, the way on down, and they get senile? Or is it because now he has a government official position as the Attorney General, whereby he's getting a little bit more money than what the other poor people in Colombia to go advocate for the people when he was advocating for human rights? Now that he's getting a little extra money, for a few dollars more, he's willing to subvert the whole of what he know used to be right back then. Same goes for Mr. Musa. We have him on tape advocating against the very same thing he's trying to push now, that he's getting a few extra dollars too. Is it just the money? I hope not. But that's the only difference. Are you back, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm not even going to comment on that clip there that you played, because these two guys make no sense. Leonard said it all. They dodge around the
Chairman,
question.
Please, Mr. Chairman, how can that make sense? You want to pass a 13th Amendment and you can't even get conviction. telling on yourself. Then you are talking about a gang intelligence unit when you already telling yourself that families and nobody wants to give statement. So where are you getting your intelligence from? So how can this 13th Amendment help you succeed in doing what you are doing? You are making an ass of yourself and taking people for a fool. Because if you never worked before, it don't work now. Simple as it is.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may
Mr.
I ask you,
Morrison, I
Yes, sir.
give you 3 minutes, Mr.
no,
Morrison, because we are
Okay.
about that
before
Yeah.
Mr. Morrison,
that
Mr.
time.
Morrison,
Yeah.
would you concede me 30 seconds?
Out of my 3 minutes?
No, prior to your 3 minutes. Just,
Okay.
Chairman, because he already called you, you know about that. The 13th Amendment, the government wanted to pass, well, not only wanted, the government are intending to pass it. Come hell or high water, regardless of what anybody have to say. They have resolved that they're going to put that on the book and use it when they want it for whatever purpose they deem it's necessary. It's about deeming. They're going to deem somebody as being a criminal, and they could claim that they get the information of that person's criminality by intelligence, and the intelligence could be faulty. There could be no intelligence, as a matter of fact, and they could just claim that and deem that person, and to hell with that person's next 10 or 15 or 20 years. And that person is gone to jail, may not even get to hear one case. These guys don't want to have no judges rule judiciously as is required by our constitution. They're taking out
Yeah.
all the pillars that holds that up. I yield back,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you, Mr. Morrison. To take your 3 minutes, sir.
Okay. One of the big concern I have is that I don't know any law, anywhere in law, that you could make a law retroactive to a past period to make something that was illegal now legal, or something that was legal now illegal. So that troubles me a lot, that the government would seek to make that kind of measure. You know, um,
Honorable. Honorable.
it is just that's just incredible. That's just incredible that they would go down that road. The not the foreign minister, the minister of police keep mentioning that they have these laws, or the attorney general did mention that we have these laws already, and so it's just troubling that they would want to sort of move in the direction to now make the great effort to bring it under the constitution, to change the constitution to address issues that we already have capability to deal with within the regular scope of the law. And if we don't have sufficient laws, they don't feel like the individual laws to address those are not sufficient, they could always enact new laws with stronger teeth. He mentioned the I was going to say, the minister of police mentioned that he suspects that the magistrates are intimidated and do not exercise the law to the extent, because they fear for their lives, and therefore they just gives lighter sentence. How in changing the constitution will bring about those same concerns? So they're not addressing the real issues,
Bamboozlers.
Exactly.
and they're telling us,
Exactly.
They take the
Right
public
on
for
the
a
money,
ride.
Mr.
and they're
Morrison.
telling us things that doesn't conflate. It doesn't match up, conflate. It doesn't match up with anything that makes sense. So there's some ulterior motives, and like you said, Mr. Brackett and Mr. Wade, it is probably to just cover some of those lawsuits that they suspect. But even so, I don't see maybe there are laws, maybe there are cases that have not been filed yet. But so far, we're looking at a few $100,000, maybe $1 million, and that is not enough for them to be doing what they're doing. There's something else hidden. There's some other agenda they have that we haven't rolled upon as yet. Because $1
Yes.
million to this government, when they're giving Ashcroft hundreds of millions of dollars, almost $1 billion, doesn't match up to try and deal with this. They gave their buddies at the airport 125, $26 million in contracts. So $1 million is not the issue, I believe, in why they're doing all this. There's something else going on.
They have a
Right on
super
that.
majority
Right
right
on
now.
that, Mr. Merson. Greg,
Uh,
we're just about time.
Mr. Brackett,
Take care.
Mr.
3 minutes.
Brackett, can we go to 140, please?
where we are right now.
120.
129.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
to answer Mr. Morrison's question, I will show you. You said a mouthful, Mr. Morrison, when you said the magistrates are afraid, as was mentioned by the Minister of Police. Here why I'm saying this, people at home and abroad, to show you again how these people tell on themselves.
The
If the
magistrates are afraid of
common
the contract too.
if the common assault law that they passed to protect magistrate and teachers and so forth, and to the end they had elected official, is not working to protect these magistrates, then how come will the 13th Amendment work when they are failing in the judiciary? Conviction rate less than 5%. That is madness. I go back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Leonard. It could take 2 minutes there, Leonard.
Thank you very
Nah,
much,
go
Mr.
back.
Chairman. What our government is attempting to do is to use their supermajority to create laws because they are authorized to create laws. But they don't explain to the public that yes, they are authorized to create laws, but those laws must be constitutional. Any other law that is inconsistent with the Constitution, according to Section 2, is null and void. So they can go ahead and make a million different laws if they want. If they're all unconstitutional, they're unconstitutional. If they're illegal, they're illegal. What part of that they don't understand? Well, at least they think that we, the public, don't understand. But at least the majority of the public may not understand. Accrues to their benefit. That is that they can haul and pull for we system and for we laws and treat us and mistreat us any which kind of way, and we should know the difference. We shouldn't be able to recognize it before they do it. Why? Because they have the power, and even if we recognize it and complain about it before they do it, we can stop them from using their power. They want to do what they want anyhow, and that's the way how they roll. So what? We want to do what we want, and if you don't like what we do, tough luck, because you can't do nothing about it. If you try force, we want to turn around and use the powers of the government and block you from getting the suit complete, or stop the judges then from ruling in your favor.
Thank you, Leonard. Thank you, my brother.
Mr.
Morrison, I will yield 3 minutes there.
Oh wow!
3 minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I yield 3 minutes.
I was going to say this is the first time I'm seeing in Belize Constitution where, in our entire Constitution, as I have read it, where they are taking away rights from the people and giving it to the state, and it's in such arbitrary manner, and it is not sitting well with most people. But I gather that from what I'm seeing and the push the government has been making, and the fact that they have this super majority that they could enact it, I am not seeing where they will relent. And I'm hoping that they will come to their senses and realize that this is not the way to deal with crime. I'm waiting for the churches to come out. I'm waiting for the Bar Association to come out. I'm waiting for the business sector to come out. I know everybody's fed up with crime. But if we examine what they're proposing and the circumstances and the issues they have in implementing and affecting the laws, the 13th Amendment will not address any of those issues to make the law function the way it was intended. All it does is criminalize normal potential behavior and make almost everyone within a community where these state of emergency are called a victim.
Amen.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank
if
you.
I may, Mr. Morrison, no amendment to the Constitution. People at home and abroad, I want to say this. No amendment to the Constitution. No police force. You can get 2 million police force. You can put up 1,000,000 camera. It will not solve the crime in Belize until you upgrade your judiciary system and your conviction rate goes up.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Mr. Morrison, Leonard, and Greg, it's a pleasure to sit in your company. And I just hope that, yet another episode for, our viewing public, that, we are stressing on the 13th Amendment. I think tomorrow is the last day. Let's see what will happen, right? They have the super majority. It's my belief that they're going to pass it anyway. They just use that bogus word again, consultation, which we know it's not real. Let's see how that will play out, and let's see the reaction of the people. I say this, and I've been saying it, that this government is slowly chipping away the rights of the citizens, your constitutional right. They're surely chipping away on that. Now, that should send a clear message to the nation of the intention of this People's United Party government. Acting in this kind of way, please open your eyes. Look what's happening. It's not going to end well for the poor and less fortunate. On that note, again, thanks, guys, and to our
Thank you.
viewers and listeners,
Thank you.
both at home and abroad. It's always a pleasure
Thank you,
to
Mr. Chairman. Thank you,
have
Greg.
you all tune in.
Thanks,
And,
gentlemen.
Brackett,
and
Mr.
we're
Morrison.
not going to get real change in the gang attitude and the concern for those poor marginalized people until we start changing the social structure of our country.
Exactly. So, Greg, take it away, please.